Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome everyone to My Creative Corner 3. I'm Vicki. You're not going to believe it, but it has been in the 60s and 70s until yesterday. So we had a lovely last couple of weeks, lots of sun, warmth, and very cold nights. It even got down into the 30s. In fact, it was 31 a couple nights ago, which has set us up for a very colorful fall season. The leaves are really starting to turn colors. I did post a reel of it. I didn't have a sunny day, so it isn't as vibrant in the photos as they were in real life. And sometimes, when the sun actually did pop out, it was gorgeous. It is officially cozy season. A quilt or two is on the bed. I had to turn the heat on in the house. And we are getting candles out and all of the things, hot tea, extra coffee, all of the fun, warm, comfy, cozy things. I'm looking for my scarves and my knitted wraps because this house is a chilly 65, 66 degrees. I did move all of my plants in the last couple of weeks from the window that they were in, which faced west, to the front porch, which is enclosed, and I bought an auxiliary heat out there. And so far, even though it's been dipping down into the 30s, they've been doing great. They like the extra sun, they like more breathing space, and I'm hoping to turn that part of my house into more usable space. It's been storage and it's been, I've tried everything, but it's not comfortable to just go out there and sit, or even at one time, a quilter before me who lived in this house quilted out there and hung a frame from hooks. But I'm sorry, it is not cool enough in the summer nor warm enough in the winter for that. So I'm going to use it as a greenhouse. Might even start some seeds out there this spring. There are windows you can open and let fresh air in, and the plants would like that. And as well as I can have a little bit of area as storage that isn't visible from the rest of the house. It's a long story. There used to be 2 picture windows. One in the living room is still existent, but the picture window that is in the room off the living room, which we're using as a office den music room, that picture window got broken years ago, so they covered it over. And that is the room where the plants used to be because it has a window facing west. So why not make it more fun? And this way I can see the plants through the window and they're really doing well, and I get more visual of them from my chair. The only negative thing about the plants being out there is the air cleaning ability of plants. But if you get enough Sansevieras or mother-in-law plant or snake plants, they can grow almost anywhere and need not a ton of water and light. So I have a couple of them growing on the front porch that could be divided and spread around living areas of the house to help clean the air. I might do that. So, overall, I have been having a lovely October. It's been really nice. It's been great. I've got into the fall routine. I think that, September always feels like New Year to me because school's starting, and I'm really tightening up on my routine. And so, what have I been doing? Well, I want to get exercise in at least once a day and a couple times a week, twice a day. Only 10 or 15 minutes. And what I'm doing is called Qigong, or it is a version of Tai Chi. And overall, it's been great. At first, I thought this is really easy. I was doing the beginner version. And I was like, I don't even know if this is doing anything. It is. I've been sticking to it now for probably 6 weeks with a little break there on our vacation. And then trying to build up to a day or two in the gym, doing more weights and things. But so far, this has been very doable for me, and I'm feeling the strength and balance, and I'm feeling that it's helping with my overall need for activity and movement. So the fall is hard though, because I like to get into too many baked goods. It's that time of year for baked goods, and I have been avoiding them until yesterday. So I'm trying to pair diet and exercise in a positive and healthy manner. But yesterday I found out the young lady who does my hair also started a self-serve porch bakery. Oh, yes, and she's so good. I bought a bagel and one cookie, and I'm going to have to be very careful about that. I hope that isn't a sign that she might not be a hairdresser anymore, but we'll see. Doesn't matter. I'll find somebody because her baked goods are amazing. All right. New things. I have been going to Quilt Guild. I did go to the meeting this month. I am so proud of myself. I have stuck with it. Now, I have a lot of things I need to do for the Quilt Guild this year, and one of them is placemats. So they don't have any real rules on the placemat, so I'm going to keep mine simple. They're rolling them to go into the holiday Meals on Wheels program so that everyone will have a placemat. And I have a couple of different ideas of keeping it simple, just doing like a rectangle with a border with a batting in the middle, and make it like an envelope maybe, or what is that, the self-binding type of placemat. I think I'm going to do that. I need to do 10 a year, so if I get a couple of them done for the holidays this year, I'll feel like I will have accomplished something. And I'm just really happy. I feel like going to this has been a big thing for me, and the group of people are very welcoming. They are not quilt police, and really I feel like this is kind of a place where I can get active with as much as I want and as much as my time allows me. Not everybody in the group is retired, so that makes a difference. Okay, so what have I been doing over the last couple of weeks besides working and getting all cozy for the fall? Well, I got all my pumpkin decorations out, and then I found a really cute crocheted pumpkin online that's made out of 2 granny squares. So I went to Hobby Lobby and bought some fall-looking variegated worsted weight yarn. I made 2 granny squares. Now, the blog that I got it from, I did put a link to it in my Saturday morning coffee post today on October 12th. And what they did is, instead of making shells of 3 all the way across, the very middle shell on the very last row was a single crochet, so that it makes kind of a dent on the outer middle portion of each granny square, which helps when you sew it together to make it domed and round. But when I got my pumpkins sewn together with the variegation, and they did not wind yarn around the outside to give it like a ribbed look that pumpkins can have. It looked like the plant from Little Shop of Horrors, because the color, the way it went, made it look like it had black teeth in one part. Anyway, I put ribs on it. I'm still in a dilemma. I can't find the right size cinnamon stick. I had some extra drawer knobs, but they're too short. And so what I did is I stacked them and put another little pumpkin on the top for now. And maybe forever. It was a fun little Zen thing to do in the evenings, because granny squares to crochet, I've done a million of them, so I don't even really have to think about it. And it's very, very relaxing just to crochet squares upon squares. And that's what I've done mostly last couple weeks. I have made a lot of those Lori Holt granny circles out of her crochet thread, and I am getting ready to choose which ones I want to use to sew them together to cover a pre-existing pillow that I found at Target, one of those rectangular ones, and they make a really cute multicolor scrappy look pillow cover, and I'm just going to sew it on. It's not going to be removable. It's going to be just permanently affixed, and it's cotton yarn, so you can sponge it off if needed. So I have been working on that a lot. The next thing I have been working on is I decided I really would like to try to get the cross stitch mystery stitch along that Fat Quarter Shop did last year. It's called Happy Haunting. And the big thing I have left is a couple of stars in the background and the full moon behind the words that say Happy Haunting. And it's really cute because in each corner are Halloween themed images. There's a tombstone and a cat wearing a witch's hat, and it's just really adorable. I cannot remember what the other two are. But it doesn't matter, because behind the words Happy Haunting in spooky script text is a full moon. And that, to me, is what makes the whole piece. It brings it together. And then I saw somebody do the little stars that I was thinking about not doing. But no, it really needs those stars. Oh, that's right. I found a picture. It's a bat and a pumpkin in the other two corners. So that was my dilemma. Once I got the moon circle done, I stitched the craters because they're in the middle of the moon in different colors. And the rest is just filling in the entire moon in orange. Well, my dilemma was I only had one skein of that orange thread. And I thought for sure it would be enough. Oh my goodness, no. It was not enough. And I was just I was so worried because I'm like, where can I go? Walmart doesn't have the floss selection that they did anymore. And I remembered to take a picture of the orange DMC floss number. And when I went to Hobby Lobby to buy that yarn that I talked about earlier, I was like, oh, they do have an entire section of floss. But I couldn't remember if it was DMC or if it was a Hobby Lobby brand. It was DMC, and they had plenty of skeins, so I bought 2 more, thinking that should be enough. But I am stitching and stitching and stitching, and I'm probably 25% done with that moon, and I'll be done with the 1 skein pretty soon. So it's going to probably take 2.5 skeins to fill in the moon and then do the stars. So I'm glad I found it because I was sweating it. I'm like, I really hate to order the DMC floss online because it's very inexpensive. And by the time you pay shipping and handling, you feel like you got to order 20 or 30 skeins of DMC floss or get something fancy. And I didn't really want to do that. So it all worked out. So now can I get the moon filled in before Halloween. That's my hope and goal. So I've been stitching a lot of X's, and I got my bright floor lamp, and I am putting that on because, man, the background color on this Aida cloth is a hand-dyed pistachio, which is really cool, except it's kind of hard to stitch on in the fall in the evening when the sun goes down, because boy, it's dark early. It is so dark early. I'm already feeling the lack of sunlight, let me tell you, and it's only October. It's only October. So I've been really trying to kick out that happy haunting. And then I'm going to finish the stitch card that I have. I have totally restrained myself in not buying more patterns because I have patterns that I haven't stitched, including a tiny town that is a fall themed. But I want to finish up all of these things that I have now and go on a final finishing blitz this winter before I start anything else. I have many cross-stitch pieces that are not finished, either in a pillow or framed or in anything. So I wanted to buy the Halloween tart tins. I wanted to buy, oh my gosh, when you watch Fat Quarter Shop's lives, they have a floss tube that they're doing twice a month now, and they're doing their quilt shop stuff. I see so many things that makes me get the fear of missing out, and I want to buy, and I don't need any more. I've got plenty. I've got plenty of things sitting around this house with plenty of materials to use. I just can't. But I'm really making a bargain with myself that I love Lori Holt's new stitch cards. They're very old-fashioned, and her stitch cards are only a couple of inches per each image with a frame, and there's 4 of them per stitch card pack. They have a Quaker-like old-fashioned sampler feel, and I really like that, kind of a quilt block inspired look. So once I get all of my final finishes done, I want to buy that. I want to buy that and stitch them. And, I need more stuff, like I need a kick in the butt. However, crafting is my therapy, and I feel like it's the one thing that I really enjoy making. It helps me relax. It helps me get balance again. And so I think, well, it's cheaper than therapy, so I'm going to keep doing it. So I've been spending a lot of time doing cross stitch and crochet. However, I am prepping to continue on with a new quilt that I started, which is the Lori Holt Apples. Now, this pattern is in her Happiness is Scrappiness book that I got last year. And I'm not making the big quilt because I want this to be a fall door banner more for work. These turn out to be 9.5 inches in the block size. It's all pieced traditionally, but there are a lot of little pieces, as is in many of Lori's patterns, but that's what makes them so cute. And I'm only going to do 12 apples and keep it in a very simple framed sashing look with the same background fabric, because I have a lot of this. It's kind of a thatched cream background. Thatched being like a cross hatch or thatched. I know Robin Pickens has that as a specific line. This is not that, but I was inspired by that, and I found the right color in another designer. So I'm going to do that. I have 4 of the 12 blocks made, and these are different reds, but I think I'm going to throw in some green apples, maybe a couple pink apples, and the gold apples will probably not show up with the background. So I'm just going to go with the Granny Smith inspired looking apples and pinks and reds and keep it simple. And I think that will wrap up my door banner projects for the year, except for the one that is not finished, which is the English paper pieced hexagons. That quilt I want to try to finish working on. And then I realized that I am going to be doing a quilt along. And it is a quilt along with Fat Quarter Shop. They've announced some of the details is that it's going to start at the end of the month. And they gave us the name of the quilt, which is Brightly Sampler Quilt, which is in Sherry and Chelsea's newest book called Family Favorites. That book is beautiful. I just got that in the mail in the last week or two. What a beautiful book. It's got a lot of gorgeous, gorgeous projects in there. And the Brightly Sampler is the one that will be the quilt along. So they've released the fabric requirements for that, and I have that in the book. There's going to be more information to come, but I have chosen fabric for it that I did get right before I went on vacation. And I made a reel and a picture of the Feed My Soul pre-cuts. I got a Fat Quarter bundle and a layer cake. And that's by Sandra Gervais. And I wanted to do something a little bit different because the Brightly Sampler quilt is using the newest fabric by Sherry and Chelsea called Laguna Sunrise, which has the same vibe and feel as my favorite Strawberry Lemonade. This is going to be a 59 by 72 inch quilt, so it's a great size. It's not quite twin size, but it'll be a great throw size or for a child's bed. But it is not a super overcomplicated sampler, and it is not going to be difficult. One thing that I did see is that there's a kit that you can buy, the whole kit with the Laguna Sunrise, but there's also the foundation paper pads, and I had a lot of them. That is another kit you can buy. So I just purchased what I didn't have, which was the Square and a Square foundation paper piecing, and Flying Geese are my nemesis. So I bought the Flying Geese foundation paper pieced pads, the pre-printed pads with beautiful paper. You just tear off what you need, and then you have these pads for later. I absolutely love them, and I love paper piecing, but I hate printing it. Oh my goodness, my phone keeps chirping. I thought it was on silence. Sorry if you heard that. But the thing about it is I hate printing all of this stuff. Number one, the paper is really expensive. Ink has gotten crazy expensive to print off your own paper piecing patterns. And then you waste a whole page because it's typing sheet sized. Well, these are usually 6 inches, 4 inches. You can get 12-inch squares too, but I don't like paper piecing ones that big generally. I like the small ones. So you could get the half square triangle pads or triangles on a roll, which I already have here at the house. So I didn't buy those. So what I've been doing is trying to figure out the coloration of Feed My Soul compared to the Brightly Sampler quilt. And it's going to be really cute. And it's, I think, going to be one of these quilt-alongs that isn't going to be high stress and getting a lot of sewing done fast. Because you know what? That is not going to happen between now and Christmas, right? Who's got time for that? But the Family Favorites book is absolutely beautiful. It has, let me look here on how many patterns are in there. You know, it's so, well, I don't have the entire index. I don't have the book right here. I just have a couple of pages that I photocopied for the coloring sheet and things like that. So I'm very excited about it, and I would highly recommend any of those products through Fat Quarter Shop. You know, the Feed My Soul is gorgeous with blues and teals and pinks and just floral, which I like. And I'm going to use a white background. It is a solid white from Moda, Bella Solid, but I don't remember what color. The bright white. And I'm going to take my time on sewing because my goal is to kick out finishes, right? Binding and long arming. So my frame is tightened up on my machine, but one post is being still a little wobbly, and I might have to have my husband look at that some more, but I need to get long arming quilts and get them done. I've got a lot to do. Only a couple that are not mine, but the rest of them are the little wall hangings and door banners, and I just really want to get done. I just have all of this starts hanging heavy over my head and not finishing. I like to be a finisher. I really, really do. And when I don't finish, it bugs me. And then I start feeling this internal stress of all of these unfinished projects. So what I'm going to do is finish. And I thought, okay, here's a couple of ideas for finishing. I think just a couple UFOs and orphan blocks. I saw Fat Quarter Shop put out a tutorial on witches' hats. They are so cute, quilted witches' hats. And all you do is put all of these orphan blocks and patchworks or cutter quilts even, or if you've been practicing quilting on something, and they showed you how to cut out the brim and the cone. And I'm like, oh, that will be something I would like to do, is make a whole bunch of those, because they're way better than quilted jackets, which I thought I would do with some of these blocks. And I took an old hand quilted cheater block quilt, and I cut out all I cut out all the pieces a year ago, and I haven't finished the jacket because garment sewing. Why do I do this to myself? So that's hanging over my head as an unfinished project. I need to finish it. I could use the rest of that quilt for one of these witches' hats. I'm going to use orphan blocks and some 9 patches and some leader ender things that I started and just hated them. And they're not perfect, and they would be great for this kind of project. I think a scrappy UFO or orphan blocks into a little quilted, the size that they recommend for the hats. Yeah, I think it would be great. And I could just make a whole bunch of them for the girl, my granddaughters, my daughter, everybody might get a witch's hat next year. Who knows? And so that will leave only one UFO. One left. That is teasing me, and that is Dear Jane. And I have a layer cake that was given to me that is the same fabric because I was running low on some of the fabric. And I think I'm going to try to pick it up as, my Lifetime Achievement Award and pick out the blocks I can do. Applique is not my thing, and there are a lot of applique blocks. So I think I'm just going to go through and do the pieced ones. You remember, Dear Jane is the Civil War quilt done in tiny little hand sewn pieces. And I think they're 4 to 4.5 inch blocks. And I'm not even going to attempt the scalloped triangle sides. So I just want to do some more blocks for the center and then call it good. It's not going to be a full Dear Jane. It'll probably be what they call a baby Jane. It'll be my version of it, but in a smaller sense. And then I will finish it. So who knows? It might take me a year. It might take me 5. Who knows? But what they say about Dear Jane. The most often started quilt, yet the most never finished. So I don't want to be a non-finisher. And that will be the last of the pieced parts, the pieced component, besides the amalgamation of just orphan blocks. And a lot of them were tester things or try it things or trying to use up stash and I didn't like the pattern or something. Those are just what I consider testing blocks, and they will have a destination with the little quilted witch hats. That's on Jolly Jabber blog, by the way, if you are interested. There's still time. You could get one done for Halloween. So it got me thinking about all of this, what I want to do in the fall. And all of the things I talked about kind of lead up to my fall traditions, the comfy, cozy hygge of getting the house all ready for the colder evenings, longer nights. And I just wanted to talk about the things I do every year. And that's start a fall quilt, maybe a Halloween one or a Christmas one. This year I'm doing the little apple one. It corresponded with me doing something that we do every year, and that's either go to a pumpkin patch or an apple farm. And we went to Apple Orchard. Apple orchards are just a plethora of them in Michigan, especially on the western coast because of Lake Michigan. The climate is perfect, and we like going to one in New Era, Michigan. It has a little zoo in it, and it has apple cannons, and it has all kinds of things. So we met our son, and we went and did all of the things. It was fun. There's a lot of children's things, but there are things for everyone to do. And he did the zookeeper experience, and we took pictures and watched him feed, some of the animals, and it was just really cool. And my husband and I went and fed the parakeets, and it made me go, oh, I just think they're so cute, but I do not have time for pets. I really, really don't. I also bring out the candles and, the baked goods. I'm not going to be baking a lot because then I will eat them all, and it's not good for me, but I'm looking for maybe smaller things to, smaller batch items to make that are low carb. But in the meantime, it's okay to have one bagel. And that's what I like about buying this self-serve bakery. I only buy one bagel, one cookie, and I'm not buying a whole bunch that I feel I have to eat, and I'm not being wasteful, and it keeps me reined in. This is the time of year also where I like to really fire up the oven and make shepherd's pie. And HelloFresh has some really good ones. I'm using HelloFresh about 3 times a week to help me out with time management, choosing good meals, and just having everything there and not having to think about food prep and all of the heavy grocery shopping is wonderful. Shepherd's pie, cottage pie. Those things are absolutely delicious. Soups. We did hamburger soup, which is something that's easy to make in the Instant Pot. And getting out the different kinds of teas. I do miss a hot cider, though. There's just way too much sugar in it for me. And I can't do sugar-free stuff. I'm allergic to sugar alcohols. But it's okay to have maybe a flavored coffee or tea that is reminiscent of those things and is very healthy. I also like to kind of be a kid again and do things like the apple farm or make a witch's hat. That will probably be, if I do anything for Halloween, is I'll probably wear the witch's hat. And I might even put some soaked flowers on it. I forgot to tell you, the decoration that I made this year was a crescent moon in purple and black flowers with Venus flytraps. And I did buy the crescent moon within the baby section at Hobby Lobby, and then I wrapped the wire moon. It's not very big, but I wrapped because it's for a nursery size. And I wrapped it with fabric strips, and I kind of wove it in and around each part of the wire and covered it all in black. And then Michael's had a bouquet that had pink and black, which is kind of like the trend this year for Halloween colors, and the Venus flytraps. And I got them on a great sale. And I made a really fun little wall hanging that's dark gothic, dark academia type of thing. And I was, I keep thinking about making poison bottles and things like that to hang around the area where I've got this display going on my antique sewing machine. But for now, it's pumpkins and the crescent moon. And that made me feel like a kid again to do a project that was fun. It was Halloween. It was kind of spooky and creepy. There's even like a little tiny spider in one of the roses. And yet it's just enough of that dark academia, which I really do like. I mean, I skipped the goth phase that was going around in the 90s because I was an adult. But man, I could slip into that easy. It was so much fun. And it was so much fun to shoot the apple cannons. And I actually hit a couple things. I felt great. So I also do something in the fall that's kind of a tradition for me. And that is to try to get as much decluttering as I can get done before the winter hits. So today I'm just kind of gathering things up, things that need to go out of the house one way or another, tidying up. Declutter means sometimes you got to get rid of stuff, and some things just need to find their home and where it needs to go so that it's not in a pile of clutter. And I really want to keep doing that all the time, but the fall is a special time of just getting rid of things that need to get out of this house before the snow starts. And I have a few areas staged of things that need to go. And some of it is just heavy duty trash, and I need to figure out, and it's heavy, and I need to figure out how to get it out of here before the snow flies. I found my fall winter jacket. I found my scarves. I have my candles out. And I also have tea lights and some mushroom twinkle lights that are going to go out probably on my Norfolk Island pine. And I think I'm going to pack up the fairy garden things and just have some lights, and then eventually maybe the winter decorations and Christmas. So that leads me to, there's not a whole lot on TV that I really like. YouTube, I feel like everybody has kind of either quit making videos, or they're all gone to home renovation videos, which I'm kind of getting bored of, except for Time Team is still an archaeology channel. And I kind of stumbled upon a lot of people talking about Lord of the Rings because I finished the entire Amazon Prime series that is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings story, and it didn't receive a lot of great reviews after the first season, but this season was really good and I enjoyed it. So today I thought, in between going out to get some fresh air, I went out in the countryside and went to my favorite fall leaf photography panoramic scenes and wooded areas. That's not too deep out because my husband's not here and I don't know how to get this truck that he left me, his 4-wheel drive truck, but I don't really know that much about getting myself unstuck because some of the roads were kind of muddy. So I didn't go deep into where wildlife is, but I went to some of the more rural wooded areas, got photos, and I got thinking, this is a great time of the year to start movie marathons on my comfort movies like Lord of the Rings. And I didn't even, I have never watched the extended versions, but maybe one day I will. But it's 3 hours without the extended scenes. But what I did is I found like the intro last night. I found an extended version of it in a YouTube video. So today I started watching it, and I'm probably going to watch it in 30-minute intervals. I'm so familiar with the story that it's okay to do that. And then I want to do the same thing with Harry Potter, this whole series, but not watch it all in one sitting, but do it in little chunks, maybe over lunch, maybe in the evenings when I have time to myself, instead of watching all of the true crime shows, because, yeah, after a while, I mean, how many shows can you watch about murder? I do like a good murder show, though. I really do. I'm going to say that the newest season of Unsolved Mysteries is on Netflix. Some of them are kind of old school, unexplained stories. Some are creepy, and some are just downright disturbing unsolved murder cases. And I will say they show a lot on Netflix that you wouldn't see on a sanitized show. So I'm just letting you know that they do show some graphic pictures. So anyway, I'm enjoying that, but I'm trying to figure out a way to lighten it up and not always be in the dark true crime shows and true crime podcasts. So I'm going to try that, being a kid. And I love Lord of the Rings. I'm really enjoying watching it. So today I started Fellowship of the Ring, and I just watched the first little bit about the hobbits, and it's so much fun. And I love the movie soundtrack. So everyone, I want to say that's a wrap for this week's podcast. What are your fall routines? I like having the routines, the rhythms of the seasons. And I also like to add like my new things to the traditions, as well as repeating some of the standard things that I really enjoy, especially in the fall. I am also really looking forward to finishing, and I enjoy finishing, and I think that's where it just, all the work that comes together is fully achieved with a finished project, and then I don't have it burdening me in my mind that I didn't finish it. So finishing is on the itinerary for the rest of this year and into 2025. I'm going to try to really limit too many starts. And as I say that, this week I did the 2 starts, right? The Brightly Sampler quilt. I'm prepping that and starting it in my mind. I've made a commitment, and I'm starting it, as well as the Apple Block quilt. So anyway, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing in the comments. Give me some ideas on things that you do to help you finish things. And what are your fall traditions? You can always leave a comment on mycreativecorner3.com. That's where the show notes will be. I'll put links to some of the things that I talked about today. It probably will not be a completely exhaustive list, but I will do my very best. If you want to continue the conversation, I have a Facebook group, My Creative Corner 3, and we share our projects and ideas and help each other solve little problems that we may be having with our projects. It's not limited to quilting. I show all the things that I'm working on too. You have a most wonderful week, and take time to make something every day. Create on, everyone.